Hello and welcome to the Books Crypto Club catch-up on Zoom. This is a weekly catch-up that we have where we record whatever we talk about. So talk about cryptos, DeFi, NFTs, whatever. Today is Sunday, the 11th of July, 2021, which means that we kind of conflict with the England versus Italy football match. So it might be quite a short session today. Let's see who joins us today anyway. Hey, Sam, good afternoon to you.
So yeah, we're just a bit excited about the football, obviously.
Yep, I think this might be a short session today because a couple of people called to say that they're having to cancel at the last minute. And I rescheduled it for 5 o'clock because of realising that the football match for which you are wearing the requisite uniform is on this evening.
They say crypto never sleeps, but maybe in England for a cup final it might do.
That's a fair point. So I think it's going to be fairly quiet. It's been fairly quiet on the crypto scene anyway, hasn't it? Apart from
it has been
continued Binance debacle with the banks.
Did you see the Binance coin went up though?
Did it?
Yeah, by 5%.
Okay.
So, you know, I think maybe some traders or institutions thought, well, a lot of the I was watching, Alessio Rastani. Do you know that guy?
I don't.
He's a really famous trader. He went on the news in the 2008 dip and recession, and he was saying how he dreams of recessions and traders dreams of recessions because they can make so much money out of them. And he started saying, like, you know, governments don't rule the world, JP Morgan rules the world, Goldman Sachs rules the world. And he wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He's a trader. So he's quite famous and his channel is quite big.
Okay.
So I was watching his channel and he was just talking about how much the market behaves in ways that people don't expect. And he was talking about like quote unquote dumb money, and a lot of traders refer to it as dumb money.
Yeah.
Like that. And he's got an interesting channel anyway. But there's got to be a breakout coming. I can kind of feel the bullish momentum. Have you seen, like, I don't know if you're a technicals guy, but there's a descending wedge, which is a very bullish sign, obviously.
Okay.
And that's on Bitcoin. I'm inclined to think, you know, this bull run's got to start up again soon. You know, you can't just have this wet blanket over it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we needed a bit of a bearish lull, but I can't see it continue. I know people say, you know, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. But, you know, I don't think anyone seriously thinks this is the end of the bull run.
Nah.
It's just a question of when it's going to start again, and that's down to consumer confidence. And as soon as we hit 42K, I mean, have you seen how much money is in stable coins?
No, there's more and more being locked up, isn't there? The total value locked. I haven't seen it the last few days though.
There's a lot going off exchanges into Ethereum.
Okay.
And the amount of staked Ethereum has been like almost exponentially rising week on week on week. And that's even though the Ethereum price is going down. So clearly consumer confidence is high long term. It just hasn't been high short term. So I'm just thinking, you know, it may not explode, but there's definitely going to be some upwards momentum. I bought that World Mobile token, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you bought into that, or?
I haven't, but it's funny that I think it was the next day that you mentioned it. Someone actually happened to get in touch with me about something, and he's working with them. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Shame you didn't come on to this call."
I mean, there's still potential to buy in. You can still buy into it. There's still weeks and weeks of buying in opportunity, so it's not lost. It's just a bit convoluted. Like, I was watching, you know, like I'm a big one for watching all the YouTubers, but higher quality ones, shall we say, rather than just like, it's going to the moon. So I prefer to watch more, like, I don't know, like educational content rather than just shitting coins. You know, I prefer to watch anyway, so Coin Bureau seems to be one of those guys, and he's like an ex-Goldman Sachs banker. And yeah, he's been very educational, but the thing is, it's completely attached to Cardano, isn't it? So, you know, if Cardano does well, this will do well. But unlike Cardano, where I know there's a lot more gains to still come, but the serious, like, you could have just put, you know, imagine 12 months ago you just put £100 in, how much would you have now? You know, so like you'd have ridiculous amounts, like a ridiculous amount of money. So the thing is with this World Mobile Token is that it's from all the gossip I've heard amongst a lot of the Cardano worldwide family, which is pretty extensive. They think that like Tanzania is the first country that's going to adopt this blockchain technology for internet use. And if you read the white paper for World Mobile Token, basically what their ambition is just to give the internet to the internetless, like for want of a better word. You know, half of the world population still can't access the internet on a regular basis. So like in Tanzania, like a lot of their citizens, that they have a phone and they can access Wi-Fi, but you know that's probably quite expensive if you're in the developing world, right?
Yep.
And you know they might only have very basic access to the internet, which of course harms their economic development because anyone who's an entrepreneur will need to use the internet.
Yeah.
To do anything. So basically, what the world's missing out is on African talent. So I know Cardano's been like Hoskinson. He's been pretty muted on World Mobile Token, and I don't know why.
Okay.
I suspect he's been told to keep stum about it to stop everyone piling into it. And I think that World Mobile Token, if Cardano does well, it will do well. But if it's been adopted in Tanzania, you know what it's like. Bitcoin's first adopted in El Salvador, and now it's been adopted in Paraguay.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah. And then the next country, you get the domino effect, right?
Well, you can see that happening in Central America, which is why I was almost surprised that El Salvador didn't have a visit from a few airplanes very, very quickly after that announcement. And you know, maybe a tragic suicide happening or something of a government leader. So
well, the IMF are not happy.
No, and you look at go for it.
Happy, are they? You know, so like, sometimes these trends are just, you know, is it too hard to stop? Like when the trend gains momentum, it's like when Microsoft was saying, "Oh, the internet's not going to be, you know, the big thing." Some Microsoft product was going to be the next big thing, and Microsoft quickly realised that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes these demographic shifts in history, they're too hard to repress. Like, can you? Like,
but it is the whole thing that's why. You know, they try and keep a can on it because once the pressure increases beyond a certain point, you're right, it suddenly becomes unstoppable in some way. And it's always realizing what's going on in order to be able to prevent it before it gets to that too late stage. And a lot of the time, I think that they miss the boat on it. So, yeah, this is where it was interesting with El Salvador, you know, adopting Bitcoin. It was is this going to be the start of a domino effect? And then, as you say, Paraguay's made an announcement. And I think Honduras or one of the other areas around there is also talking about it. If you've suddenly got several separate states all adopting crypto around about the same time, and then they start making it interoperable between each other, and then it starts hitting the neighboring states and the neighboring states, it becomes a contagion.
Yeah, it does.
And as we know about contagions now, they expand quite rapidly at times and become quite infectious.
Well, it'll be South American countries, then it'll be African countries. And
yeah.
Yeah, the fact that this World Mobile Token's taken off in Tanzania, it's very exciting, and it's just basically what I think the potential for profit. The X is, you know, it's all very speculative, but you're talking about massive X's, which maybe people who've got into Bitcoin, like in this wave, that's where they're going to make their money. Do you know what I mean? So that's me basically. So like what I'm hoping is that where I'm going to make my big investment dividends, you know.
Yeah, and I think it is spotting the right opportunities. So I've seen loads of these over the last few years where you go, oh wow, this could be absolutely a massive thing. It could 100x, it could 1000x or whatever, but 99 out of 100 don't turn out that way. And that's where a lot of people that I was involved in, certainly a couple of years ago, they were kind of going in for like pooling arrangements where a gang of them would get together, they'd pool some money, and then they'd invest in 100 potential big things, and they would accept that 90 to 95% of them would go to zero.
Yeah.
Where it only took 1 to 100x, and then a couple to 10x, and then 1 or 2 to 5x or whatever, and they're quitting.
Yeah, I mean, I did see BitBoy. He was talking about the way to become a crypto millionaire. It's like make your first 25,000, and then just put 1,000 on each low cap, like on 25 different low cap, outside the top 25 project cryptos.
Yeah,
he just said like you're guaranteed to hit the jackpot somewhere. So he said quite a similar thing. For me, it's like, and I was also, so when I was watching Coin Bureau, he did this really interesting statistical. Yeah, I'm drinking my tea. He did this really interesting statistical analysis of the education and salary statistics of people who buy into each coin.
Okay.
And XRP had the highest level of education.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I know, but it's an interesting thing, and it's the most used coin amongst. Obviously, it's like the banker coin as well. So,
I was going to say that might be to do with the demographics of those who are buying into it. That if it's a bunch of people who are, traders and bankers, and who are getting into it because of banking connection, then they are going to be professionals who are qualified in quants and all this kind of stuff. So you would kind of expect the correlation. But yeah, I always say that there's an inverse correlation between professional qualifications and common sense.
Yeah,
it has seen that the brighter people don't seem to actually be very sensible. But then that's probably my chip on my shoulder type thing on that.
But if you flip it and think of who's buying into meme coins, what kind of education have they got? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then look at the ones who are making profits out of doing that.
Yeah, but they're just like underhand shillers, aren't they? Like people that have bought into SafeMoon early.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a pyramid scheme, isn't it? Like if you got in, the earlier you got into SafeMoon, the more dividends you make. It's a really odd setup, that SafeMoon.
Yep.
And then you've got Baby Doge. Have you seen Baby Doge's?
No, what's that?
They're just memes of memes. Like, it's just like the meme, it's like evolution. Yeah, and you're watching evolution on a rapid scale. You see like a species and it evolves. So, so Doge was just a popular meme on the internet, and everyone, amongst a certain generation thought it was funny. And then someone put in a coin for a joke, and then Elon Musk has a very immature sense of humor, and he started shitting it. It's highly suspected that he's the whale as well.
Right. Yeah.
When that owns 30% of Dogecoins.
It does have a feeling to it at the moment that some cryptos are a bit like Cryptokitties. That it's a trend, and they're just expanding. And I guess one of the things about a cryptocurrency is that it is actually pretty easy to create a cryptocurrency. It's a lot harder to get it listed and that kind of thing.
You're right.
But yeah, an interesting space.
Well, there's also like the fact that some of those coins, like Shiba Inu, they've actually got a genuinely good development team around it, and they're just like completely copying ETH. they're copying ETH, and they're actually doing genuine DeFi stuff with Shiba. So when Shiba at first just seemed like this complete knockoff and stupid thing, it's actually, again, I'm going back to Coin Bureau, but he did this whole video on SHIB, and the development team that they've got on it now and what they're trying to do with it. It started as a meme coin, but where it will end up in 5 or 10 years, it might be, the reality could be very, very different.
Yeah. Well, didn't a similar thing kind of happen with the way you had Uniswap initially, and then you had Sushi Swap, which was a kind of a clone of it, and then Sushi Swap disappeared as the owner did various things, but then handed over the code, I think, to the Uniswap team or something.
and then they just copied it, didn't they? Like it's yeah, it's a lot of murkiness, certainly with those guys. I mean, there's murkiness. I think, but this is what it kind of attracts a lot of people into the crypto space, because I certainly got into it because of Dogecoin. I just heard I'm like very much into UFC, so on the fighting championship, and I had Joe Rogan, world's largest podcaster, and he was talking about Dogecoin and how much it had X'd, and I didn't have a clue. And like when I first started buying into it, I just bought into Dogecoin and it doubled. And I was like, wow, this is great. And I literally had I was just like playing around with £75, yeah, doubled to £150, and then I put £150 into Crow, which, you know, Crypto.com, their coin, and it doubled again. So I went from 75 to 150 to 300. I was thinking, oh, I'm a genius, you know what I mean, like that. And then I put 300 for that into ETH, because I looked into the main coins. I thought it'd be safer to put into ETH. I didn't know anything about ETH. Then it went from 300 to 450. I'm thinking, this is just brilliant. This is great. And I'm not saying to my wife, we've got to put more money in. Let's put some more money in. And, you know, it was going up, and then it was like around. And then I got to put £900 in when Bitcoin went to 60k. And I was just like, yeah. But you know what? I thought, you know, when Elon Musk made that tweet, I thought, oh, I should take it out and put it into stable coins. But I just didn't have the confidence to do that. I don't know why. I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just leave it in there. Yeah. So I just taken it out and put it into stable coins and then reinvested now. Do you know what I mean? So it's all a big learning curve, isn't it? Yeah. So,
well, it's the whole thing as well. There's a lot of psychology involved. And this is where I quite like it when some people bought into, as you say, Bitcoin at around about the 60k mark, and then it dropped, and they said, "Oh no, you know, I've lost 25%, 30%, whatever. What am I going to do?" It's like, well, that's great, because it's actually taught you early on that this is not a guaranteed win.
Yeah.
So it'll to take any losses you've got as you're simply paying for education, and you're learning that things can go down as well as up. So as long as you're not, you know, maxing out your credit cards to buy stuff, then, you know, go away and learn about things and understand things and understand concepts, even like stop losses, which a lot of people weren't doing. Learn about those so you can like lock in the profits and that kind of thing.
The problem is though, it's the technical, it's using those apps, or maybe developing your knowledge of computers and developing that kind of side of it. Like a lot of people just wouldn't know how to use the app. Like, you know, I've got about 3 or 4 people at work that come to me, Sam, how do you do this on that? Sam, how do you do that? You know, and you have to have quite, I don't know, like I feel like you have to have a certain technical IQ. I mean, it might sound quite basic to you and you think, well, that's a very like newbie thing, but you know, what if you're just not very good at computers, but you want to trade? Like, so there's a lot of technical literacy you need to do. And I'll tell you what, to buy that World Mobile token, it took me 2 hours, right? So I kept on trying to buy it through Binance, and really hard. It was really hard to buy it through Binance. Now I just went onto Cryptokitties.com, set up myself a wallet, a DeFi wallet, and I could just send it like that. And I sent it within, like, I'd say it took me what I was trying to do unsuccessfully on Binance, on Crypto.com. I did that within, I'd say, probably 5 minutes.
Okay.
So, you know, it's just like maybe finding the right platform for you, or, you know, maybe there was a bit more user friendly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe what's gone on with the financial, the FCA and Binance, it's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it, lately? Yeah.
Well, I think the thing with World Mobile Token, it sums up a couple of things about crypto. That even though, you know, crypto's been around for 10 or so years now, it is still quite difficult at times to buy these things. You know, it's not as simple as just, you know, setting up an eToro account or something. Yeah. And the thing that brought it home with me with World Mobile Token in particular is when they say, oh yeah, we've got an explainer video to explain what you need to do. And you look at how long the video is and you go, this is not good. No,
yeah, it wasn't great fun doing it. And also, even though they put that video, you still had to have implicit knowledge of the crypto sphere to be able to do it. And, you know, like I've never paid for anything in crypto before. Yeah, so it's like, we want $200, but we want it in either ETH or we want it in Bitcoin or BNB or ADA. And I thought, well, bloody hell, I've never done that before. Do you know what I mean? So like, and I was like, how do I do this? And, you know, like I'm an educated guy. I'm a director of humanities. You know, I mean, in a secondary school. You know, I teach history to A level. You know, I've got 2 degrees, one in English literature and one in modern history. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not an uneducated guy.
Yep.
And the fact that I spent 2 hours on Binance, like trying to, and all I was doing was watching YouTube tutorials and trying to apply it. But for some reason, there was some kind of glitch. I still don't know quite what it was because I was doing everything that the step by step on the website. But sometimes you do things from American tutorials and they don't work in Britain on the British apps, and very, very, very frustrating. I still haven't tried to take any money out of either of those yet because I'm hodling anyway. For me, it's a long term. It's a long term thing. I'm looking 10, 15, 20 years down the line. I'm building a big retirement pot, or when my daughter goes to university, having those fees ready, so we don't have to, you know, tuck our belts in like when that comes. So I'm just trying to make like smart financial decisions. So that's like my my motivation, or perhaps using it to put a down payment on a second property. So that's like my kind of like main goal. So when I achieve a certain level of wealth, I think I'll be putting quite a bit out. But
or what will happen is that you'll reach that level, and then emotionally or mentally you'll then reset and you'll recalibrate, and it'll be, oh well, actually I think my daughter's going to want to do a master's degree, so I'm going to have to put some aside for that, and maybe she'll want to do a PhD, so I'll have to put I think you keep moving the goalposts.
Well, you never want to take it all out. You always want like to have a certain level in. I don't think you'd ever want to take, you know, especially, I just think the future is going to be so much more technological, so much more blockchain friendly. You know, we're at a crossroads of history. It's really interesting. It's really interesting being a historian and being in this space, and it's very interesting applying historical skills to the future, because it's just, you know, looking at the direction, the paths that you know, global society is going on. You know, like just looking at trends as well.
It comes back to what you're saying at the beginning about how things change very rapidly, that sometimes it's not until after the event that you really realize that a seismic change has happened. You know, and it's, you know, I'm old enough to remember, you know, beginning to plug computers together and get them to talk to each other. It's like, oh, it's kind of quite novel. It's kind of nice. And then all of a sudden the web arrives, and the world has suddenly changed overnight, and it catches people out, it catches companies out. You know, the whole, like in insurance, the aggregator market, you know, the compare the markets and all this kind of thing, that blew away a whole insurance broker industry almost overnight on motor insurance.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, like how that happens. You know, my wife used to work for an insurance, house insurance company in Bromley, and it folded because of that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just completely folded. So you know, these you know, automation and job reduction, that's just going to be a part of the future. And you know,
but that's some of the stuff again. I mean, I've worked in, I describe it as emerging technologies for many years. I was involved in implementing fully automated robot operated warehouses in the north of England in the mid to late 1980s. That still hasn't happened, apart from Amazon. Amazon's the only company that seems to use robots in any big way in warehouses. And even now you look at it, a lot of that stuff is manual. I implemented it in chain stores, barcoding systems, with the idea that we'd use barcode machines to get rid of checkout assistants. That's only just happening now. You know, and that's 20 odd years later.
Well, that's the thing with change. So it's not easy. You face a lot of opposition. So, you know, like with driverless cars, like the technology is there now, right? You know, it exists. Like it's just about consumer.
I can't remember who wrote it. It may have been Bill Gates or somebody. And they said that technology, the pace of technology adoption tends to be slower than you expect. But the impact of it tends to be greater than you expect.
Yeah.
So I think we see that, and I think that's what's going to happen with blockchain. That blockchain's been on a slow burn for a number of years, and then all of a sudden it's going to be, oh, this is blockchain, and you won't even know it's blockchain, to be honest. You know, if it's done right. So this is where, when you get to the point where someone launches a token, and they don't need to produce a 30-minute explainer video anymore.
Yeah.
That's when we've arrived in the crypto world.
Yeah.
So
I concur. Like, it's just, so I think, sometimes when you see these forecasters, they get a bit overly excited. Oh, yes, we're going to get this, and it's going to be radical. But the thing is, history doesn't work that way, because you get opposition. Like, with any new technology, it's like, I teach medicine through time. And when you look at, like, for instance, Jon Snow in London, he's trying to convince that cholera is spread through, is waterborne.
Yep.
Oh, no one wanted to believe him. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, it's miasma, like that. It's noxious smells. That's what's killing people.
Yep.
And people genuinely believed in miasma. It's like, the adoption of new technologies always faces a period of opposition. But the thing is, with a good idea, in the end, it's realized, right? Like, so, like, good ideas, like, the arguments around good ideas, they are eventually realized, but it can take a tediously long time.
I remember having that conversation a number of years ago with a group of insurance people talking about blockchain and talking about crypto.
Yeah.
And one of the underwriters turned around to me and she said, I just don't see the point of this.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's okay, that's fine. You don't need to. It's going to happen anyway, whether you get it or not.
Yeah.
And she kind of looked at me and I said, yeah, it's the King Canute moment. That whether you agree with the tide coming in or not, your feet are about to get wet and you might be moving. So I just think, so I'm always amused when I look on LinkedIn and people saying, oh, blockchain's not happening and crypto's not happening. And you go, well, in Arizona, they accept Bitcoin for tax payment now. And Miami are considering accepting crypto for tax payments and for paying bills as well. And that, various blockchain projects are live and people don't even realize it. And these things happen without you even noticing. And I always say a great example for me is Twitter. That when Twitter first came out, and in fact, even earlier when SMS came out, when you had the old phone where you had to, like a Nokia 3110, and to type the letter B, you had to press the 1 button twice, and then C was press it 3 times. But what on earth is the point of that? And SMS absolutely exploded. And the really funny thing about SMS was it wasn't designed up front to be a consumer messaging app. It was just an engineering app to send status updates. And it got adopted. And that's what amuses me about crypto as well, because the purists in the crypto space will talk about, oh, well, companies are using it for that. And that's not what crypto is intended for, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what something is intended for. What matters is how it's actually adopted and how it's used.
Yeah.
So we'll see that.
I concur. It's like, technologies are invented by usually highly intelligent, technical people, but they perhaps are maybe too intelligent or too far removed from your everyday Joe, right? So therefore, the everyday Joe acts in unforeseen ways. I completely concur. But it's just, I don't know, I'm as interested in the future as I'm in the past, So I just think, what is going to happen over the next 10, 15, 20 years of this technology?
Yeah, I think that's where it's amazing. I think we are living in the most amazing time right now in terms of technology change and potential and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited about Cardano. I'm excited about VeChain as well. I'm excited to see, how this court case is going to go with Ripple, and I've talked about that quite a lot. And there's been a lot of debate in previous weeks about that, but it just keeps on coming up and coming up and coming up. There's a lot of excitement around it.
Yep.
Whatever happens, there's a lot of excitement around it in the crypto sphere. There's a lot of people bullish and thinking that the XRP money is gonna blow up, and it's when you start to see multiple analysts across different media platforms, and they're all beginning to concur on some things, when you think, like, this can't just be a conspiracy. They're not all in contact with each other. A lot of them don't like each other. A lot of them are very jealous of each other, like, what's it, Cointelegraph? Yep. Like, they hate BitBoy, and BitBoy's got the largest, and he hates them. Do you know what I mean? And he's got the largest reach on all of the interwebs, as he loves to say, and they're the most probably read like blog platform for crypto news. But you know what I find actually with these guys, the more I've got into it, they don't actually make predictions. They never make predictions. They go, well, it could go up or it could go. In essence, they might say, I think it's more likely to go up. What is probable? I think this is more probable. And what is possible? I think, well, this is possible. But they're never correct. Do you know what I mean? If you lace everything with, I think this is going to happen, but this could happen, and that's effectively what all of them do. Yeah. Like, and.
Well, that's because they can never be held to account with anything. Yeah. That's why I always say, I don't offer predictions where people say to me, "Oh, tell me which coin's going to go, whatever." And anything in crypto is going to go one of three ways. It's either going to go up, down, or sideways. And I just don't know which, and I don't know when. And the few people who will put their neck out and will make a claim invariably get it wrong. Yeah. It's just the nature of it. Yeah. Because if they consistently got it right, they wouldn't be talking about it anymore. They'd be on a beach in Bali, totally retired. The smart ones, you take a look at likes of Tony Vay's, he'll occasionally give a walkthrough on his thinking, and he'll describe the market, and he'll describe what he thinks the market sentiment is, and he'll describe what his intentions are, and that's great, because at least you get an understanding into his thinking and his mindset. But you don't get people who say, right, Bitcoin's currently at 33.9. Next Monday, there's an announcement on something, and it's going to go to 42 or 42,500. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes, don't get me wrong, they'll tell you, like, the key points. I think when they tell you basically the key points of support and resistance and what you should do in the alternating scenarios, I think that's good. I mean, that's educational. Yeah. And like butterfly hedging, like that. When so okay, if it falls below this key point resistance, that's when you should really put a short on. And when it goes over, these moving averages, that's when a lot of people like that. This will be the behavior. So when it goes over the moving averages over 42K, that's when a lot of that money is going to come off out of the stable coins and just pump in, because that's when consumer confidence will be. So like for Bitcoin. So, what I'm going to do for eToro, I've got so the main ones I use are Crypto.com and Binance. I was going to ask you, do you use these exchanges, or do you get it in a more kind of direct way?
I'm fairly inactive in this space anyway at the moment. So I mean, I do occasionally use Binance and Kraken. Okay. For simplicity, I've used blockchain.com just for buying Bitcoin. Okay. And one other, Coinbase as well, just for simple buy and sell. Okay. But I tend to go through waves. It depends what I'm doing work-wise. That if I'm occupied actually earning money, then I'm busy earning money and not playing around. But occasionally, if I've got some time to spare, I'll do a little bit of dabbling just for the fun of it. Okay. So I tend to sit back and watch. So tended to be Binance in the past, though. What was the best platform that I liked. I never did. I know, as you say, eToro, because eToro, you didn't own the underlying cryptocurrency, and the eToro was actually a very good way of shadow trading, which is trying to make money out of someone else's expertise without having a clue about how they're doing it, which can work, but can be quite dangerous as well.
The only reason I was going to do it is like I was thinking when it goes to 42, putting a long on with a little bit of leverage, but not too much, like maybe £200 and I don't know 5x leverage, and it'd probably come off. But I didn't want to do it on Binance, and I know that you can put a stop loss on, but I didn't want to do it on Binance because I just, if you get liquidated, that's your whole account, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if it gets liquidated, I'm not getting that. That's not happening. So it's kind of like, yeah.
That's something it's worth being aware of with leverage trades as well. That and it comes back to the dumb money conversation. That a lot of people who know what they're doing know that there are a lot of other people who don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they can figure out where their stop loss positions are and where the margin calls will be. And they actually intentionally push the trades to cause people to have to liquidate. So they get to clean up nice and cheap, not buy in, and you've just suffered kind of thing. So I'm always nervous about that. And also, you quite often find that even the big, more reputable exchanges, even if you've got stop losses in place, the stop loss doesn't always trigger at the right point.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen a lot of this. And the exchange is coming for a lot of criticism from like financial regulators.
Yep.
For that, I remember I couldn't get on Crypto.com because Shibu was just pumping, like it was crazy, and everyone was trying to get into Shiba. Like there was this FOMO into Shiba, and I wasn't even into Shiba. I just wanted to go and look at how my crypto was doing. In my early days of checking it 50 times a day, whereas now I just check it once in the morning, once in the evening.
But you're right. I've found before now one of the really useful like radar alerts that goes off is when I start seeing messages coming through to people on any of my WhatsApp or Telegram groups, where they start saying, I can't get into Binance. Oh, that's interesting. I can't get into Coinbase. Oh, that's interesting. I can't. When you can't get into the exchanges, that's usually a good litmus test that there's something happening quite seismic with the market, and you're actually being prevented from exiting in some way.
It's a dirty game with huge institutions manipulating, and we all know that. Yeah. But how do they get their? They don't buy off exchanges, do they? How do they get their Bitcoin?
Well, they do over-the-counter type stuff. So they'll do direct trades with other counterparties, or they'll go through a broker in some way who specialises in that. So I know of a few people who specialise in the kind of like the $1 million plus trades, where they'll set up crossovers, or it's getting a bit like share trading world, where some brokers might take an order from somebody and they'll slice it up into various parcels of orders, so it doesn't suddenly look like a massive buy. And that's obviously what Tesla did with Bitcoin when they bought 1.5 billion of Bitcoin. They obviously didn't go to Binance to place it. They obviously sliced it out. So by the time they announced that they bought 1.5 billion, they'd already bought it. I think that goes on a lot. That there are some brokers who specialize in the field.
I mean, those guys really just are arseholes, because like you think when that market first opened, it was it's something genuine. It didn't have hardly any bankers in it, and the way the market behaved was just pure retail, wasn't it? like mostly. But it certainly didn't have like the billions that can get pumped into it now. But for me, like what I've seen is just every time it started to go up, it's like there's this wet blanket that's been poured over, and you can just see the manipulation. And I mean, it almost played out perfectly to that Wyckoff distribution, but it's just continued a bit too long for it to look perfect according to that. But I think with these big things happening at the end of July, with Ethereum especially, there's a lot of huge bullishness around that, and also with what's happening with Cardano, I'm just thinking it's gonna like pop sooner or later, and you just think they're just accumulating. And one of the good TA guys, like I said, what's his name? I mentioned him earlier, Satoshi Stoker. He was showing you what he does. He just follows whale wallets. It shows you what they're doing, like what they're doing, just accumulate. It's really weird how they can accumulate and not push the price up. That's just amazing the way that they just do it very carefully.
Yep.
Small little bits by repressing the price by like these hedge fund guys and institutions, they just work with each other. So just, you just put the price down now and then let us buy it, and vice versa and vice versa. They're just working in tandem with each other. And when that when it first came down after the Elon Musk tweets, apparently that was like, they're not all, a lot of these guys aren't friends. They hate each other and they're trying to liquidate each other, and that's why like super erratic pushes and dumps. It's just been, I was just like, this is just disgusting.
Well, I think that's a really sad thing. The two things about the crypto space is that originally it was relatively pure and better than the fiat world. But as you say, there's so many people who've now come into the space that it's every bit as disreputable as traditional money markets. But also as well, the thing I liked about crypto originally was it was a non-debt based system.
Yeah,
because you have to own something in order to sell it.
Yeah,
and that was great because that meant you couldn't go into debt, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, you've got all these people who are creating capabilities to replicate all the bad things in the traditional fiat market. And so everything you see in the traditional market, whether it's about leverage, whether it's about shorting a market, whether it's about pooling, exchange traded funds, whatever, it's all a mirror now of what goes in the traditional market, but without so much regulation.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
So much coding quality.
But that's what I think that's what people like, isn't it? Deregulation. And this is why I'm surprised the Tory government in England hasn't really got behind it. Like, aren't they supposed to be about deregulation and letting capitalism flourish in all its ugliness and beauty? Isn't that what they should be behind it? Like, I can't understand. This is a brand new economy which kind of no one predicted or expected to be as successful as it is. Shouldn't they just allow it to happen, like to a greater extent? I just don't know why.
I think it comes down to if you read about innovation and disruption, I always recommend people read Christian Clay.
Okay.
Christian Clay's book, The Innovator's Dilemma.
Okay.
That it points out that what you have to be really careful of is you do get this disruptive thing, and it's a risk-reward thing of should you support something that could actually totally undermine your existing system.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the Bank of England, you've got a high reputation, high level of protection, high level of control. You really don't want to start dabbling in something that is going to harm that in any way.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a small Central American country with nothing to lose if it all goes wrong, then why not? And so that's why you tend to find the disruptors in this kind of space are on the margins, that they're in the areas where there's nothing to lose.
Well, I think this is a big truism of crypto. It's those developing economies that need it. And actually, that's why a lot of people in so-called first world countries, like in the West, they just don't get the adoption of it. Whilst if you look in Turkey, huge adoption. You look in India, huge adoption, even though like their banks have been a bit iffy and now seem to become a bit more positive and just thinking, well, we can stop this.
India's weird. I try and follow what's going on in India, and I keep losing the plot every so often. So SEBI, which is the financial arm of RBI, which is Bank of India, they laid out some stuff about what was allowed and what wasn't a while ago. And they were broadly anti-crypto. And then there was something came out from another government department that was supportive of crypto. Then there was an announcement that they were about to legislate against crypto by introducing some law. Then the Supreme Court in India ruled in favor of crypto. And then RBI, I think, have recently come out with another proclamation that crypto might be made illegal or something. So they keep going in weird type things. And I always say that it's interesting looking at different countries, how their regulatory systems work. So as an example, in the USA, pretty much you can't do anything unless there's a rule allowing it. Okay. In India, you can do anything as long as there isn't a rule preventing it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But I think, you know, like Vitalik giving like 1 million Shiba tokens, donating that to India, I think that might have had some sway. And now there's like this huge development team doing all this kind of DeFi stuff and other things I don't quite understand yet, but there's certainly a lot of action going on there. I mean, if Shiba does stop being just a shitcoin and become something like quite, you know, like unexpectedly a high quality crypto system, how much will those Shiba tokens be worth to India in 10 years' time? Do you know what I mean? So
we'll return to normal next week.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you go and get yourself ready and go and enjoy it.
Well, I don't know if I can even enjoy it. I'm so nervous. But anyway, yeah, cool. Take it easy. Lovely to talk to you.
All right, cheers then, Sam. Bye now.
Bye. Bye.